evening. This is the March meeting of the Burlington Planning and Zoning Commission, an appointed advisory board consisting of 5 city residents appointed by the Burlington City Council and 2 extraterritorial members appointed by the county commissioners. This board makes its recommendations to the Burlington City Council. At this time, if you have any cell phones or equipment, please silence it. Be advised that this meeting is being recorded. As a point of order, if you're called on for comments, please come to the podium. Be sure to state your name and address before addressing. Your comments will be limited to 3 minutes. If you would, please roll call the commission.
Chairman Black.
Present.
Vice Chair Patrick.
Present.
Member Beasley.
Present.
Member Brown.
Here.
Member Gamble is requesting an excused absence. Excuse me, Member Gamble is not requesting an excused absence. She doesn't have to. She's just
No.
absent. Member Nelson has requested an excused absence. Member Rayner.
Present.
And Member Hill.
Present.
Member Parker.
Present.
And Member Wright is absent. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Ask for approval of the minutes of the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting held on February 18th, 2024. So there's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved. Item number 3, rezoning 24001. Mr. Manuel Diaz Marquez, applicant, to present a request to rezone property from neighborhood business to general business limited use. The property is located east of Rawhut, south of Massey Street, and addressed as 1038 Rawhut Street, and consisting of Alamance County Tax Identification Number 136804. Is the applicant here?
Yes.
You would like to present your application?
Good evening. My name is Fatima Aviles. I'm his daughter.
Address?
The address is 406 Hatch Street, Burlington, 27217.
Okay, go ahead.
So we are looking to rezone the property currently that is a neighborhood business to a general business for multiple uses. One being the priority would be a hand wash car wash. With that being said, we were just limited to use just pressure washers and hand drying the vehicles. I'm pretty sure you guys have been around and seen multiple car washes that are doing that. I did speak to Stormwater and they were out there, they looked at the area, they said that as of now, there wouldn't be anywhere where that would interfere with the stormwater where the drainage was. They said further on we could be seeing maybe opening some drainage where the water would be going straight to the main sewer, I think, is what she mentioned. And then landscaping, we would just remove the dead trees that are around the area, making sure it would be a nice clean area.
Okay, is that it?
Yes.
All right. Does anybody on the commission have any questions for the applicant? Thank you. We'll open the floor to the public. Anyone on this side of the room wish to address this subject? Please step up to the mic, give your name and your address.
Excuse me. Lodginger. Patricia Wright Dill, D-I-L-L. I live at 1022 Rawhut, right near the branch. Now this area that's in question, is that the little station area that's there? I don't know where 1038 is. I'm
The
not.
gas station, I believe.
That unoccupied station there?
Yes.
That's 1038? So you want a car wash there?
Yes.
Okay, does that interfere with the branch?
With the river?
Yeah.
No.
Well, it's not a, well, it's a branch.
Yeah, stormwater was there, like I mentioned, and they were concerned because to see where the water and the soap would go. It's not going to go into the drainage. There's 2 drains on the edge of the road. The water would not go there, so the water would basically dry out there. And it would not have to go and affect the little branch that's there. The main concern was because there are animals around the area and they do drink water out of there. So that was our biggest concern, and she mentioned that we would open up like a drainage specifically where the water soap would go, not interfering with the branch.
Because you know that area floods.
Right.
When it rains heavily, it floods. And my main concern is that, well, I don't care whether you have a car wash there or not. My main concern is that branch area, because if it's raining hard, it's gonna flood. And if it floods, it comes over on my side. So that's a lot of water.
Yeah, so then to answer your question, we would be very far apart from the branch. There is a concrete space on there that's the main use that we would use.
Yeah, okay, how long have you been here? In Burlington, in that area to see that particular location when it floods? Because it floods all the way across the highway, over into the park area, and I'm
I've
just,
been here more than 2 years.
okay,
My
then
parents live.
it's only flooded there once, and I got here in 2017. I was military, so I got back here in 2017. It actually flooded that area in 2017, but it hasn't flooded since. But I just wanted to know where the location was.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you can zoom in, there is 2 parcels up that are on the top of that. So the water is gonna go it's like a little hill, so it's gonna go that way. It wouldn't go lean towards the right where the branch is, if that makes sense.
So you're talking about the whole area that's there up to the next street?
Correct.
Yeah. That's what I wanted.
All right, Ms. Hill, thank you so much.
What does that have to do with 514? Also on that. I can see the 3 areas of the 1022 off Raw Hut, on Raw Hut. Also on the 514. I didn't know what that has to do with 514, because 514
I'm
is
not
on.
aware that it has anything to do with 514.
Those properties are just within a 300-foot
Yes.
notification zone, and so that's why those properties are.
Anybody that has an address within 300 foot would get a notice. So you may have gotten a double notice because you have 2 properties within that 4 properties within that 300 foot area.
Okay, because I have
Okay.
3
It
on
had-
Raw
it
Hut.
had nothing to do
Right
with
there
that.
by the branch, I have
Yeah,
3.
we're very far away from the branch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. Does anyone on this side of the room have any comments, any questions? Any questions or comments from the commission?
So if you're going to, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, are you going to have a collection basin, like a drainage sump of some kind that's closed to catch the water? Or is it just going to sit?
No, at some point, like I would just speak to the stormwater department, they mentioned that after following this step, we would consider doing the drainage that would go, we would have to get somebody to go and actually dig up the ground and see where one of the drainage of the main water would go, which is like a green, I don't know what it's called, that would plug in directly so the water would go. But as of now, since it's not an excessive amount of water that would be used daily, she said it would be fine for it to actually go downhill to the other, where it goes up towards the up on the other parcels.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Staff recommendations?
So staff has worked with the applicant originally. She came in with that if for some reason another use was more viable, that she or the owner of the property wouldn't have to come back through the rezoning process again. So we made some suggestions and they agreed to allow some additional uses that could help to support the neighborhood. With that said, there's 10 uses that are proposed in addition to what applicant has indicated. The existing zoning of the property and properties to the north of there being in the neighborhood business, they're currently incompatible with our future land use designation of the area, which is traditional residential. We feel that with these modifications that the applicant has made, staff does recommend the rezoning, and this use as well as others can help to serve as a catalyst for the area. So we recommend the approval consistent with option number 3.
Option number 2.
Option 2.
Number 2, I'm
Option
sorry.
2.
That's okay, thank you. You've heard the staff report. I note that we had no calls or comments. Other? Brief? No, okay.
No, just general inquiries.
If there are no other comments from the commission,
Option
Two.
number 2.
2.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion.
There's, go
If
ahead.
we're done with discussion.
We are.
I make a motion to recommend approval of the request to rezone the property from neighborhood business MB to general business limited use GBLU. The property is located east of Raw Hut Road, south of Massey Street, address is 1038 Raw Hut Street, consisting of Alamance County tax identification number 136804. While the request is inconsistent with the future land use map in section 4 land use of the comprehensive plan, in that it calls for this area to traditional residential, request is compatible with existing non-residential uses and zoning in the area. The proposed use of its list and expands on community-oriented businesses consistent with many uses allowable in the existing neighborhood business zoning. This action is reasonable and in the public interest in that the comprehensive plan encourages a sustainable balance of land uses. The request is compatible with the existing zoning and land uses in the area.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Would you roll call the vote, please?
Sure. Chair Bach,
Aye.
Vice Chair Kirkpatrick,
Approved.
Member Beasley,
Approved.
Member Parker,
Approve.
Member Roan,
Approve.
Member Rayner,
Approved.
Member Hill. Approved. Any other?
It's approved. You will be notified by letter when the council will act on this recommendation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Item number 4, conditional rezoning 23-003. Ms. Amanda Hovren, applicant to amend the conditional business zoning district to include 2 properties located west of Belmont Street, south of Kilroy Street, and north of Cleveland Avenue, and addressed as 1213 and 0 Belmont Street, and consisting of Alamance County tax identification numbers 133431 and 133432. These properties are currently zoned general business, and the current conditional business includes tax identification numbers 133433, 133435, and 133436. Is the applicant here?
Yes, sir.
If you'll state your name and address, please.
Good evening. My name is Amanda Hodiern. My offices are at 804 Green Valley Road, Suite 200 in Greensboro. I'm here tonight on behalf of the property owner, which is Adams Towing. I have here with me tonight Mr. Doug Adams, who is the owner and principal operator of that business, a longtime business operator and corporate resident here in Burlington. And that's really what this request is about. If we could pull up the slides, I won't go through all of them, but just a couple of them will help us get through this quicker. Mr. Adams has had his business here for several years, And a couple of years ago, when the property next door to him became available, he purchased it and expanded his business. And in doing so, that necessitated some cleanups to make sure that that was all proper from the regulatory landscape. So that's what we're here to do tonight. We've been working with staff, Ms. Lawson and her staff, for several months now to ensure that we got that all right, and we created a homogeneous zoning landscape for his business to flow from its previous parcel boundaries to what he's currently using. So if we could just advance to the next slide. This is the operation over on Belmont Street. As you read in your staff report, this is as it looks now, and this is the end of the property that necessitated this case. So if we could go to the next slide, this really tells the story. You see on the right-hand side of your screen, the assemblage is 6 different parcels. So the 4 parcels to the top of the screen, the north side, that was rezoned in 2016 to this conditional business district to allow for this use in its current capacity. And it's been doing that since that time. I guess it was about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, the 2 southern properties became available. Mr. Adams purchased those, expanded his business, and essentially fenced the entire thing the same as the rest of the business, and let the operations flow over to those 2 parcels. So we needed to bring those into the current zoning context and also clean up a few encroachment items to make that all proper and by the book. So the 2 blue parcels at the bottom of the screen is what necessitated this case, but we're offering a couple of new conditions just to make it all flow comprehensively. So the new zoning conditions, if adopted through this process, would apply to the entire assemblage. So you wouldn't have this awkward break and wonder what applied to what side. As you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, this is just an overhead view of the scope and the operations. You see it flows from one end to the other, so there's really no sense in not having it zoned and regulated the same. So if we could go to the next slide, this shows you those conditions. And again, in working with staff, this was just the rational sort of expansion of or continuation of what was already there. So the main factors that you see here is that we went ahead and codified the use of the fence. That's the bold script that you see there in number 1. The non-bolded script is what is already on the property for those northern 4 parcels. In item number 2, under development conditions, we went ahead and enlarged the number of vehicles that can be on the property. It was only 50 vehicles when the yard was smaller. Now that the yard is bigger, it would make sense that we would like to be able to store more vehicles there without exceeding that previous zoning condition. So we upped the allotment there. And then if you skip down to storage area and security, this is where we have the codification of an electric fence so that we can have that there without any issues. And then we've added a landscaping condition. That's the new bold print on the left bottom corner to discuss screening and proper streetscape landscaping for Belmont Street. That fence and landscaping down on that corner is what necessitated the encroachment agreement. That, of course, was handled internally through staff, through the TRC process and engineering. It's already been approved. But just to let you know, Ms. Lawson did make sure that happened before this came to you, so all that type of stuff was already taken care of. And you see that in your packet, I believe. So again, these are the conditions that would apply to the entire assemblage. If we go to the next slide, please. This is just showing you that area that we added that needed the encroachment. Next slide. That's the agreement that's been signed and approved. And this is just an up-close view of that fencing and the screening. You saw in the conditions it does call for the screening by mesh or slatting. You can see that in place here. And also wanted to highlight how the electric fence sits behind the regular chain link fence so that it's not going to accidentally hurt anyone that's not looking for trouble, I guess, so to speak. So it is set off from the road. So with that, we hope that this brings everything into easy compliance for smooth enforcement and operations going forward. Mr. Adams has had a well-reputed business operating here for several years. He's a partner with the City of Burlington in your rotation program for towing, and just wants to be able to continue his operations and maintain a secure and safe site for his employees. So with that, I have Mr. Nick Blackwood here from my office who's helped with this case, who can answer any questions. And if there's any other operational questions that I can't answer, Mr. Adams is here as well. Thank you for your time. We did send out a letter, I'm sorry, it's the next slide. We did send out a letter to everyone within our notification range just to make sure everybody knew what was going on and give them the opportunity to ask us questions or let us know if they had any concerns, and we did not receive any outreach from that letter.
Thank you. Does any commissioner have any questions for the applicant?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Parker.
Could you go back to the last slide, please, Jamie? So the electric fence is at the 10-foot part there in the back with the individual wires going across?
The electric fence actually covers the entire perimeter. But I was just getting you a close-up view there.
Yes, that's the taller.
Is it like 10 feet tall with wires going by?
Yes, sir, that taller portion where the wires are more spaced out, that's the electric fence, and that sits on the inside portion, or the interior portion of the chain link fence, which is slatted.
Is there a distance between the chain link and the electric fence?
I think they're more or less, right, maybe an inch or two.
It's about 6 to 12 inches, actually.
12 inches, okay.
Looks like it's closer at the gate.
It's attached to the opening gate, so
Yeah,
open.
but the gate's the closest place that the fence is
Yes, sir.
closest to.
Just because
that.
it has to open with it.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have 150 cars behind the electric fence.
It can have up to 150, yes, sir. That was really just a number chosen to try and make sure that, the city and Mr. Adams weren't having to run out there and count cars every night and, move things here and there. We didn't want it to be a constant enforcement, heavy lift for everybody to constantly be wondering if we were exceeding the number. So we tried to pick a comfortable number to where even if he had a busy weekend, we would stay in compliance.
What's the total acreage out there current with this addition?
Let's see, the current acreage is, I have it right here. The addition is .337
Yeah, the addition I
acres.
knew.
The total, I think, is 1.07.
Does any other commissioner have any questions at this time? Thank you. Does anyone on this side of the room have any question or comments to make? And there's no one on this side of the room.
Well, Mr. Boundy,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have any questions.
Okay. Thank you. Staff recommendations.
So staff does recommend this amendment to the previous conditional business rezoning. It does help to solidify the entire property all under one zoning district. It is consistent with the future land use designation of that area, which is mixed use. And it helps to regulate everything that is occurring under the operation under one umbrella. So we have recommended option number 1 included in your packet.
Thank you. Public comments? None?
received.
None? Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Oh, excuse me.
May I have a late question? It's broader than this parcel. What is the city's general policy on electric fences? When and where are they allowed?
I'd have to refer the UDO.
Is it part of the UDO? Electric fence? That's-
Typically, electric fences are, in the ordinance, are addressed with agricultural type uses.
Right. Generally. Thank you. All right. More no
Mr.
other
Chair.
questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Ryan.
I make a motion to recommend approval of the request to amend the conditional business CB 932 zoning district to include properties located west of Belmont Street, south of Kilway Street, and north of Cleveland Avenue, and addressed as 1213 and 0 Belmont Street, and consisting of Alamance County tax identification numbers 133431 and 133432. The motion is based upon the consistency of the proposed rezoning with the comprehensive plan in that the future land use map in Section 4 land use of the comprehensive plan calls for this area to have mixed uses. The request is compatible with the adjacent commercial use. This action is reasonable and in the public interest in that the comprehensive plan calls for a variety of uses, including commercial and institutional uses in the area. The request is compatible with the existing zoning and land uses in the area.
You have a second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Roll call, please.
Chair Black,
Aye.
Vice Chair Kirkpatrick,
Approved.
Member Beasley,
Approved.
Member Brown,
Approve.
Member Parker,
Deny.
Member Rayner,
Approved.
let's see, Member Hill,
Approved.
You will be notified by letter when the city council make their vote on this recommendation.
thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Any new business to come before this commission?
Yes, so you'll see that we added discussion of meeting location change. We were supposed to discuss this downstairs, but there was a scheduling mishap, so we had to go ahead and move upstairs. So thank you guys for making that seamless. There was discussions with staff and Mr. Black and just in general with our other commissions to propose moving the meeting of the location of the meeting just to upstairs, just to go back to the original meeting place. It's direct, obviously, we're in it, so it's directly above. It's just to make things a little bit easier, a little bit smoother. The AV room's directly behind us. It would help us be a little bit more official. There's been issues with past commissions of the crowds when they get a little bit bigger, getting a little close to some of our commissioners, and so we kind of want to protect you guys as well in that. So simply, all we're asking is that someone makes a motion to amend the meeting schedule to adopt moving the Planning and Zoning Commission Board to City Council chambers.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? So be it. If there's nothing else, we don't have any old business? No? Okay. Nothing else to come before this commission? I now consider it adjourned. If I get a motion. Motion. I got a motion and a second. All in favor? Okay.